Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 6, episode 93 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Steelers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm great, Sam. I'm great. It's not super early for me. But you know what? College basketball on all day. Can't complain.
We're thrilled to be joined by Queens University of North Carolina head coach Grant Leonard. Coach, welcome to Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers, and congratulations on clinching a spot to the NCAA tournament for the first time in Division I program history.
Yeah, what an honor to be on, and I guess that means we did something good, right?
Yeah. The first thing we need to address, so we're both Bill Simmons guys on this pod. We got to talk about the Ewing theory and our friend Nick Lawrenson.
Ha!
You guys have now won 20 games in both of the seasons that after Nick left, after only winning 14 in his year. What can you say about the albatross in the room that was his bloated contract during his 1 year in North Carolina?
Yes, very bloated contract of an unbelievable intern. And Nick might be the only intern in college basketball history who got on SportsCenter because of how hard he cheered during the game when we upset Stetson. Nicky did a great job, and the transition was really hard that year. We had lost the best player in school history from the previous year, and it took me a little while to figure out how to coach after he was gone.
But now to be able to turn around, win 20 games in back-to-back seasons, culminate that with a trip to the NCAA tournament, being able to obviously figure it out. The offense this year takes another step to the next level. Always has been a program. You want to play fast. You want to shoot a ton of threes. This year, that has really manifested into a really successful offense.
Yeah, and the funny thing is everyone talks about the threes, but really what made us, I think, take the next step this year was our 2-point field goal percentage was top 10 in the country, and our finish rate was elite around the rim, and we basically shot maybe bottom 10 in the country amount of long twos. So we really took the right shots, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And the rim pressure is what caused the not just all the threes, but the quality of threes we got. And we're making over 10 threes a game, but man, the guys finishing at the rim, Avante Parker and Jordan Watford and Berman and Nas, man, like they put so much pressure on the rim that Ashby and Schwieger got all those threes.
Jonathan?
Coach, how do you get a group of players to buy into a system like that?
It's one day at a time, and it takes unbelievable leadership from your players, the returners, that teach guys like that's not a queen shot, and that's not saying there's anything wrong with one-on-one individual shots, but we try and avoid isolations. We try and get shots for each other, a lot of assisted baskets, and our guys really buy in. It starts in the summer, and guys start taking those shots, and our returners, not just the coaches, our returners are like, hey, that's not the shot we want.
A lot of people got the chance to kind of see your team play on opening day at 8 a.m. against Winthrop. So we got to see the debut of Jordan Watford. We got to see that team at that point. Yoav Berman had 19 points in that game. Chris Ashby was 2 for 11 from 3. But how much has your team grown since then?
A lot. And, Berman was his first game he ever really played point guard in college. And he tried to do a little too much. So for him, less is more, and then he became really good by the end of the year, probably our best player. Chris Ashby, he went 2 for 11, but I thought he just got really good looks. He just didn't go in. Well, he made 10 the other night in the game that mattered, right? And proud of Chris for that. And he's made 109 this year, pretty incredible. Two years in a row, back-to-back 100 threes. And then Jordan Watford's development was just off the charts. He only played 9 minutes in that first game because he was in foul trouble. But once he got past the foul trouble in conference play, man, he was lights out all year. And I'm so proud of his development and how much better he got at the little things that could show that way he could stay on the floor to show how great he was at the big things.
You guys have scored 90 points in 4 of your last 6. 85, 87, 87, 91, 93, right before that as well. Does it really kind of feel like this is the best your offense has been playing over the last couple of years, over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And every team that plays us right now is trying to slow us down, but our guys are able to pick the pace up. It starts with our defensive ball pressure, which gets us in the open floor. But man, like the guys just share the ball, and that's the comments I get from so many people. Man, you guys pass it so well, and our guys just play for each other. They run the floor for each other. You don't always get the ball when you're on the floor. They cut for each other. You don't always get it, but sometimes you take two with you. We screen for each other, and Avante Parker he sets 3 times as many screens as anyone else on our team. It's amazing, and then we get paint touches for each other, and that's how we track it. It's for each other.
Jonathan?
Coach, you guys went 13-5 in league play, and 4 of those 5 losses were against the teams that you ended up beating in the ASUN tournament. So coming into the tournament, when you guys have that type of draw, how do you keep your team, believing in itself that they can go out and beat teams that had their number in the regular season? 1
or 2 of those games ended up being like 8 or 9 point losses, but they all were 1 possession games in the last minute. And our guys knew that was just that difference, that from winning and losing, that the margin was really small. So it wasn't hard to get them to believe, but also there was a little chip on their shoulder. It was like a revenge tour. Like, we're going to go through this and do it right. And I just, guys, so proud of our guys and how they executed each game, because I thought we were comfortably ahead in all of them. And we made that last one look a little tighter than maybe I should have. But man, our guys really executed. They did an unbelievable job.
You're seeing Cam Hunter just make crazy shot after crazy shot, and that, I'm sure you've been asked this 100 times. What's going through your head as you're seeing that? Do you think there's any chance at that point that he's just making everything?
I mean, he's an incredible player. He probably owes me a signing bonus or something, because he's averaged like 38 against us. Cam's phenomenal, and it's a Herculean effort for him. He just put the team on his back in that second half. But the part of how we guard is we want teams to play in isolations where we avoid them. And so good players sometimes are going to have good games against us, but we tried to take away the other guys, and I thought we were successful at that.
Yeah, 33 points in the game you guys played in 2023 against Cam Hunter. And then this year, 31, 30, and 49.
Yeah.
You guys finally beat him, though.
Yeah, we got him a couple of those games, though. So, but man, he's a heck of a player, man. He's gonna have an unbelievable career ahead of him.
Jonathan?
So, Coach, you guys, obviously you go and win 3 in a row now, and you guys have a little time off, so like we don't have the bracket revealed until this Sunday, and then we don't even get the tournament started until next Tuesday. So what does this week look for you guys like with no games?
Yeah, gave the guys a couple days off, so they took off yesterday, and then today we're actually going to go cheer on our baseball team, who upset South Carolina a few weeks ago in a big deal, and we're playing in a minor league stadium downtown. So our guys are going to go and cheer on our guys, and then tomorrow we'll have a pretty light practice, mostly offensive based, and get our feet back under us, and then we'll start competing again Thursday and Friday. But we're just going to focus on us. We play pretty conceptual basketball, so scouting isn't as detailed as some other teams might do. So like, we're going to work on us offensively and defensively, and then when we get the matchup on Sunday, we'll start to hone in on who we're playing. But I really want our guys and our school and our community to enjoy the experience, man. What a ride. And I don't want them to feel any pressure. I want them to feel loose and enjoy it.
Obviously, your first year as a head coach was Queen's first year at the Division I level. Did you feel that going through the learning process together helped both the program and you?
Absolutely. So much growth from that team to now. And that team they were warriors. They won 18 games. It was basically a Division II team. We won 30 games the year before in Division II, and we took our best player grad transferred. He was an All-American, and then we took guys 2 through 10 and played a Division I schedule and won 18 games. But we learned so much in that year. Positional size, we were the second smallest team in America, And we had to learn to grow through that, and then the next year our roster started to evolve, and then 2 years later, 21 season, and then losing the semifinals in overtime to Lipscomb, who was phenomenal, and then this year we broke through, and you could just see the steps every year, and just proud of our guys for staying the course and being disciplined. And the only guy that was here all 4 years was Chris Ashby. Heck of a run for him.
John,
Coach, you guys obviously, rosters are so different every year with, the portal and whatnot now. But you guys actually had some key players come back. And with this being your first year of like eligibility to get to the NCAA tournament, did you notice, a different energy from those guys, or, a different feeling the last couple of weeks, knowing that like this was the year that, they're good and they can actually get to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like, there was an energy that the guys knew that this was an attainable goal. The last few years we're winning to compete in the conference tournament, but we knew if we won it, we're going to the CBI, which we went to anyway. This year they knew they could dance and light at the end of the tunnel, but I thought our guys stayed locked in. And the biggest thing is not to look too far ahead and to worry about the steps in front of you. And so I thought the guys really did that from the start of the conference tournament. They were locked in on West Georgia, not the championship game. And we did the best job that I've ever seen of us guarding Shelton Williams-Dryden, who's unbelievable player.
Mm-hmm.
He went 3 for 14 that game. Avante Parker, he was off the rails defensively. He was amazing. And then the next game, Berman guards Parker from Austin P and holds him to 8 points for that game. And the big fella went nuts. And then the last game, Cam Hunter, man, I got through it. But I think our guys definitely had a different energy this year because they knew it was possible.
Coach, you're very active on social media. What is that? What is the purpose behind your activity in terms of promoting your program?
You said it right there, promoting the program. Want our guys to feel like that it matters. Social media is free. So, getting that stuff out there is amazing. But really just want to promote our guys and sometimes when you're in Charlotte, you think there's all this media here, but you can get lost in the sauce too, because it's a big city, and the Hornets are here and the Panthers are here. And so I just want our guys to get the recognition they deserve.
Jonathan?
Sam, I think that's all I have. If you have anything else.
My last thing for you, Coach. I mentioned it briefly before you went on the air, but you've built up quite a reputation for your sweater game. What are you working on for the NCAA tournament?
Hey, I'm Irish. It's right around St. Patrick's Day, so I would expect something green and fun for that dance. And I'm also taking advertisement suggestions, and people that want to brand me, bring it on. We're all for it.
For the NIL fund?
Yes. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Awesome. You guys have a great day. I appreciate you.
All right. That was Queens University head coach Grant Leonard. We appreciate him coming on. Jonathan, my computer won't charge right now.
Well, that seems like a problem.
It certainly does. So can you
How
talk
much battery do you have left?
12%. So can you talk for a few minutes while I try?
Yeah, you know what? I can, Sam.
Just talk about some of the games you watched this weekend that weren't championship games.
How about? I was actually going to talk about some of the games from last night, but I'll save that for you. We'll start with some news here. Caleb Foster got surgery on his foot on Sunday morning after the Duke Carolina game. It was, a fracture in his foot. Obviously, it didn't look great. It was worse than, I didn't say, I don't want to say worse than what was feared, but it was, right on par pretty much. He's going to be out for, they're using the term foreseeable future. Well, we only have, a handful of weeks left here. And, as a Duke fan, I'm devastated because at the same time, it feels like an entire season might be down the drain. Caleb Foster was really important for us this year, playing point guard. He took a huge leap from last year. He was great defensively last year, but offensively and especially shooting, he took a pretty big leap this year, shot 40% from three. This is going to be, Caden Boozer's responsibility now, and Caden has played pretty exceptional in the second half of the season. His turnovers have gone way down from what they were early in the season, especially over these last couple weeks and last month. But I hesitate to say that like Duke can definitely still be a tier 1 team without Caleb Foster. I think he's that important. The good news is, Pat Gongba seems to be all right. Foot soreness is what they're saying. And, he's going to miss the ACC tournament, but they said he should be good to go for the NCAA tournament. So this is going to be an uphill battle this week for Duke and Charlotte without those two guys. They'll open on Thursday night against the winner, I believe, of Florida State and Cal. I think is the matchup. I know Florida State is one of them. But yeah, this is going to be a real tough uphill battle for Duke in these next couple weeks without Caleb Foster. So let's talk about some of these other games. Actually, let's we could stick with Duke here because they played Carolina obviously this weekend at home. Score ended up being closer, I should say, than what it actually was in the second half. Duke was up big. They went on a huge run in the second half after it being a 5-point game at the half. Cam Boozer, he just took over in the game. 26 points, 15 boards, 5 assists. That was a complete showing of what Cam Boozer is as a player and how he will translate to the NBA. Low post scoring, can take guys off the drive. Was the most physical player on the floor, completely outbattled Henry Visar. Passing was on display early in the game as well. And then, once Duke started hitting shots, they had to single cover. And, that's where he really took over. I thought, especially in the second half, Duke's outstanding defense that's ranked number 1 in the country was on display. Dame Sarr had a sequence where he, made a play, slapped the floor. Energy was incredible. Malik Brown was all over the place with deflections and rebounds. He had 5 steals in the game. And, when those two guys are defending, and the energy is up like that, it kind of just feeds into everyone else for this team. So we'll see, without Caleb Foster's on-ball defense, how good this defense can be in this next week, and in the NCAA tournament. But I'd say it's still an elite defense for sure without him. So let's move on to where do I want to go next here? I don't want to go to the games from yesterday because we'll save those for when Sam's back. But let's go to Arkansas, Missouri here, and another one of my teams. I thought this was a poor effort down the stretch from Missouri with a chance to close this game and get, a win that, in my opinion, would have locked you into the NCAA tournament. But it just, it feels like a lot of the same. With Missouri, they get chance after chance to close out the game, and they don't. And in part because, the defense was not very good. Allow an open 3 to Trayvon Brazil at the exact moment that you can't. And, you lose it in overtime. And what the most concerning part about this was that Arkansas didn't have Acuff or Carter Knox in this game. And, the one guy really that you couldn't let go score a bunch was Malik Thomas, and yet he did. He goes 5 of 6 from 3. He hits 5 of their 8 threes in the game. And, they got out rebounded, which isn't, out of the ordinary for them. But it feels like Missouri has gotten so close in a couple of these games against good teams to being able to secure an NCAA tournament bid. They just needed one win, and now they're going to have to do some work. Possibly this week in Nashville. Kentucky probably awaits them in that second round on Thursday. Kentucky's a team they beat this year on the road, but obviously a formidable opponent. So we'll see. On the Arkansas side of this, I still, we've talked about it a lot this year. I believe in them a lot. I think they can go win the SEC tournament this week. I know the defense isn't great. It's improving. I will say that. They play fast. They have athletes. Obviously, when Acost's in there, you have one of the premier point guards in the entire country. So I think this is a team that absolutely can go make a run. It's like a 4 seed next week in the NCAA tournament. But we'll see. We'll see. Iowa, Nebraska on Sunday was just an incredible game. Iowa was so close this last week to not just knocking off Nebraska on the road, but Michigan at home. And it feels like one of those wins would have gotten them exactly what they needed to get into the NCAA tournament, especially with those teams both being elite. They're both going to be protected seeds, obviously, in the NCAA tournament. For Nebraska in this game, though, like, you didn't get this dominant performance out of Mask. You didn't get this dominant performance out of Sanford, and Jamarcus Lawrence didn't shoot it well. So, like, it was impressive in that they were able to go get the performance that they needed out of other guys, like Cale Jacobson. Sam Hoiberg had 15 points, shot it efficiently. Like, those guys are thought of to be role players for this team. And so it's encouraging, I'd say, that Nebraska was able to go win a game where they didn't get their best stuff from their best guys. And on the Iowa side of this, like, you're able to go compete in a game where you only get 11 points from Bennett starts. So, like, at the same time, Iowa, you don't win the game. And obviously the goal right now is to go get into the NCAA tournament. And, they're right there to get in on the NCAA bubble. The Penn State loss last weekend did not help. But, you go 18 from Cale Combs. He's playing better. 18 from Cooper Cook. He's playing well. 12 off the bench from Tavion Banks. Like, even in the Michigan game, over the last week, it has felt like Iowa has played well. But the wins aren't there to show for. And they might need one of those this week to get into the NCAA tournament. Let's go to Florida and Kentucky here. This was an 84-77 Florida win. Thomas Houck, Ken Palm MVP of the game, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals as well. And, like, we continue to say it with Florida, like, this was closer than how the game actually played out. Florida was winning handily for most of the game. They were up, I think, 17 at the half. And, Florida's not a team that's going to shoot the ball a ton. They only attempted 18 threes in this game, but they made 8 of them. And that has been a trend for Florida. They continue to shoot the ball really well from 3, despite not having elite shooters. And they understand that, like, they can't take a lot of them. They don't, 223rd in three-point attempt rate in the country. But the three-point percentage continues to go up. So if they shoot well into the NCAA tournament, like, I don't want to say forget about it because there's obviously other elite teams, but this is, a tier 1 national title contender right up there with everyone else, that you would consider a national title contender. And it's because of their defense, it's because of their length, but it's also because they continue to shoot the ball at a much, much higher level than they were early in the season. Their guards are playing so much better. Defense still remains up there with the best. It's just going to be a really tough out in the NCAA tournament. Everyone knows it at this point. On the Kentucky side of this, like, I think that, like, people keep looking for reasons to believe in them, but this team just, I could regret this. This team doesn't have it. Like, it's not a basketball roster that fits well together. And I know that there have been injuries and it's kind of derailed their season a little bit, but they've lost now 5 of their last 7 games. Every time, like, every win they had this year that was a big win, it felt like they had to battle back and come from behind to get it. And, like, they're going to make the NCAA tournament. I don't think there's a doubt about that. But I don't see them as, like, a real threat, as an 8 or 9 seed to go in and, knock off a 1 seed. Win a game, for sure. Like, absolutely could. But it seems like every time now that they play an elite opponent or a good opponent, they either have, their backs against the wall or, they get blown out like they did on Saturday. So we'll obviously see. Like, they still have the name Kentucky across the front of their jersey, so you're not going to want to see them just based off that. Like, if you're, a Michigan fan, do you really want to see Kentucky in your quad? Like, probably not. But I think that, this team would need a pretty exceptional performance to go and, reach the second weekend. So let's go here to, I still want to avoid the game from yesterday for when Sam gets back on. I just want to say there are a couple Big Ten teams that are going to make the NCAA tournament and get lower seeds. And they are playing at a pretty elite level right now. That's UCLA and Ohio State. UCLA, they've had issues this year, and one of those issues has been that Cronin, in the press conferences, just loses his mind. But this is a team playing at a really high level, and I hate to say it, but I really believe in this team. Cronin's still a good coach, and they crush USC over the weekend. Just completely control that game from tip to finish at the Game 1 Center. Donovan Dent, Rothstein's been tweeting about it, but he's playing at a really, really high level right now. It looks like the Donovan Dent of the last couple years at New Mexico. Bilodeau, obviously a great player. Eric Daly has always been one of my favorites. This team is clicking at the right time. And this is not a team, I want to go see in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament with the way they're playing. They're playing at a top, 15 level in the last month or so. And Ohio State, you can almost say the same. This team has done what it's needed to go get into the NCAA tournament in this last, week and a half. They go and they beat Purdue at home. They beat Indiana at home, convincing fashion. The metrics are outstanding. Defense is improving. Offense is exceptional. Very happy for Bruce Thornton, especially because him going 4 years without making the NCAA tournament would have been pretty depressing in itself, the caliber of player he is. Let's go to anything else. We'll go over some bubble results from this last week because it was outside of, Ohio State, UCLA, this was a pretty tragic bubble weekend for teams vying to get into the NCAA tournament. Just some results here. Cincinnati, they come all the way back, really, from being dead in the water for their NCAA tournament hopes. They lose by 10 to TCU in Fort Worth. Their hopes are probably done unless they go on some crazy run this week in Kansas City, which, always possible with the way they've been playing. Texas loses in overtime at home to Oklahoma. All of a sudden, Oklahoma's back in the NCAA tournament picture, but it's not really what I want to focus on here. Texas' resume is spotty at best. They're 18-13. They've lost 4 of 5 here. That includes a 20-point loss to Arkansas, a 13-point loss to Florida at home, a 11-point loss to Georgia. So, they're losing in convincing fashion. This defense is not good. They're not a joy to watch the way they play. So, I think they might have some work to do. The thing is about this past Saturday and Sunday, really, as well, none of these teams won. So, you had new teams emerging in the bubble picture, like Oklahoma, that you wouldn't think, were on the bubble until recently. But Oklahoma, if you go look now at their resume, 17-14, same record as Cincinnati, who we just talked about, and they now have wins, against Texas on the road, Auburn at home, Vandy on the road, Georgia at home, Missouri at home. This is there's a very serious chance if they go out and do what's necessary and win a couple games this week in Nashville that they can go and make the NCAA tournament. I said that the bubble was kind of a disaster this weekend. I'm going to continue, to stress that with some of these results. So Texas loses. And then, if you keep, going down the list, New Mexico loses to Utah State. Now, obviously, game was in Logan. Tough place to go win, especially on the road. But, not a good result and not a great couple weeks for New Mexico's NCAA tournament hopes. Cal loses to Wake Forest on the road. NC State's probably safe, but they lose at home to Stanford. Ibuka Okore, 33 points. Not a great result there for NC State. You keep going with some of this stuff. Like Virginia Tech loses at Virginia in a game that was very winnable in the moment for them. This is just like a complete disaster of an NCAA tournament bubble. And Evan Miyakawa pointed it out yesterday, and I'm pulling up the tweet here, just to, double check what I'm saying is accurate here. But this is, according to his data, the worst NCAA tournament bubble in ever, like the last 15 years from what we have. He listed 2026, 2015, 2024, 2025, 2019 as the worst bubble years in the NCAA tournament. And, I feel like that's all the evidence we need to not expand the NCAA tournament here. But of course, that's not what it's about. It's about revenue and getting more money, for an event that is college basketball's biggest event of the year. So this is based off of, what Evan does. He used, a pre-tournament team rating and, took the average rating of a top 10 team and compared it to the average rating of a team in the 40s, to just compare like the worst bubble. And, this is what it spat out. And it's frankly not close. 2026 is the worst bubble year in the last 15 years. And it's not even particularly close. 17.6 is like the total rating difference that it produced. 15.5 is the next closest. And that was 2015. So yeah, it seems like, these last couple years, bubble has been really bad, and it doesn't seem to be trending in a positive direction because the top of the sport is just so good right now. So, we'll see. I'm going to take a quick break here, and we will get back to doing this in a second.